the type of designers you sort of resonate with. Because I'm wearing Comme des Garçons today. I wore them on purpose just for you. Because you speak about, I can't pronounce her name, sorry, Rei
Kawakubo.
You speak about her so much, like, why? And you speak about Vivienne Westwood, you speak about Oswald Boateng, you speak about
a lot of designers,
like, but why is there certain ones in particular that you seem to like more than others?
Because they're just better than others, to be fair. It's like, so to me, I think the best designer I know of personally is Alexander McQueen. And that's because he has every skill that a designer could possibly have. So Alexander McQueen, he went to Savile Row. He got trained at Savile Row. So he knows how to make a suit perfectly. Like, he learnt at the best place. He learnt to make patterns. He went to Italy, learnt to make patterns even more.
Who did he learn with in Italy?
Many different people.
Okay.
Well, I could get into it, but it'll be quite a long... yeah. So many different people came back to London, worked in a store. So then he learnt the commercial side. Then he went to Central St. Martin's, which is best fashion school. Then he learnt there. And then he also, even in terms of like understanding and knowledge, because a lot of designers, what they do is like, they try to appear intelligent. So they'll be like, oh, this collection, like they try to make things deeper than it is. So they'll be like, okay, this collection is inspired by this time period, like Edwardian England or whatever. And you look at the clothing and you're like, you're actually just talking rubbish. Like, I can tell. I've read about that period. So Alexander McQueen, he used to go to the V&A, I think every week, like to the museum.
So what is the V&A? Oh, it's a museum.
Yeah. Victoria and Albert. So he like used to do a lot of research, and his mum as well was a history teacher. So everything about him was just well researched. He learned all the skills. So when it came to making clothing, that's why the clothing was so good. That's why it was so well made. A lot of designers even now, they can't actually make clothing themselves. They're like creative directors. So they have people that sew, and they just have an idea and they try to get people to
How do you feel about
make
that?
it. I'm in two minds about it. It's like, you can be a good creative director and do that, but the problem is like you have limitations. Like someone like McQueen can make anything he wants himself. So if he has an idea, he can make it. If someone who can't make clothing has an idea, you can try to make it, but someone might tell you, we can't actually make patterns like that. Even maybe they could, they're just being lazy or they're not good enough. And they obviously don't want you to go to someone else because they want that money. They want you to pay them. So they'll be like, we can't do that. We can. So it always limits you. If you can't make clothing and you start a brand, it always limits you. Which is why I personally feel like, not that people that can't make clothes are bad, but there's something better about designers that can. Because it puts them at a better, like at an advantage. They can actually make the clothes. So any idea they have is going to become a reality, basically.
And those tend to be the designers that you resonate with.
Like the Rei Kawakubos, the Oswald Boatengs, the Vivienne Westwoods. Yeah. All these people make clothing themselves.
Yeah. That's so sick, because that makes sense. Because obviously when I was watching your videos and I hear all the designers, like, but I could tell which ones you liked more.
Yeah.
I couldn't work out why these were better. Because obviously for someone that hasn't researched as much as you, not to say a designer is just a designer. I don't want to like disrespect the art of fashion designing, but all designers are like lumped into a box in my head. Whereas because you're such a purist and you've researched it so much, you've segmented different types of designers. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you've got Jack Moose in one sort of box. And
Jack Moose is like, I know he's like popular and stuff.
You know, I said that name on purpose, didn't it?
Yeah. Jack Moose, I think there's like tiers of designers. Obviously, like people might disagree because people like Jack Moose and stuff, but Jack Moose is not like Jack Moose. There's like levels to design. Jack Moose makes good clothing, like beautiful clothing, but that's about as far as it goes. He's not really trying hard. Like when someone makes really commercial clothing, I feel like that's easy. That's like the easy way out, because if I make a dress that everyone can wear, it's really easy. There's no inspiration point. It's just like too easy. I have more respect for designers that can take something really abstract and get people to wear it. Like someone like Rick Owens is crazy to me, because Rick Owens makes mad stuff, but he still gets normal people to wear it. Like people who would look at avant-garde clothing, like the clothing that Comme des Garçons makes, and like, oh, that's weird, but they'll wear Rick Owens, which is like, I feel like that's more commendable.
So speaking of all these sort of designers and brands, obviously we're at a time in streetwear where we're coming to a place where luxury and streetwear are kind of merging, and obviously hasn't always been like that. When do you feel like the sort of luxury streetwear space kind of started?
Well, it's come in different waves. The first wave was like Dapper Dan, when he was bootlegging Louis Vuitton and Gucci and stuff, and rappers were wearing it, and then Louis Vuitton copied Dapper Dan and stuff. There was that whole thing, and then it wasn't really a thing. And then Virgil Abloh, I think, really brought it back. So he had the group Bin Trill.
Yeah.
And they were making like t-shirts. He was printing on like Ralph polos and stuff. And then he made Off-White. And before then, there were like brands who would make hoodies and stuff, but it wasn't at that sort of price point. Because there are brands like Fubu, there was Rockaware, which were big in like the urban scene, but they weren't selling jackets for £1,000. So Off-White was the first one to tell you that, yeah, I'm making a hoodie and I can sell it for 500 and people are still going to buy it. And I think other luxury brands realized this is so much easier than what we're doing. Like we could just make a hoodie, put our name on it, and because it has heritage, like Balenciaga does it now, because there's heritage, people are going to buy into it just because of our name. And I think that's when, because of people like Virgil Abloh, the whole industry kind of steered in that direction.
How do you feel about that? And the reason I ask that is because, as we've been speaking, you're purist. Do you know what I'm saying? And from the way you kind of told me that sort of luxury streetwear story, it kind of sounds like, I don't want to call it a cop-out because that's not fair, but it kind of sounds like it's been remixed in a way where you can kind of miss out steps. Do you know what I mean? Like, not to downplay Virgil Abloh's ability to design, because obviously he's a sick designer, but is someone like him comparable to the Comme des Garçons lady? Do you know what I mean?
No, he's not. But the thing about Virgil is I really like him, and I think especially at Louis Vuitton, what he's doing now, his work is really, really good, especially the last two collections. But I think a lot of people forget how, like, a lot of these designers that are successful actually did a lot of work. So even Virgil Abloh, for example,
he did a lot of work.
He worked for Kanye West. He interned at Fendi. He didn't just wake up and become a successful designer. So the problem is, like, a lot of people see Virgil Abloh, they see the hoodies that he makes, they see Off-White, and they think, okay, cool, I'm just going to make hoodies and print on a t-shirt and think it's going to work. And that's why it doesn't. Because it's like, no, this guy actually built a network for years. And he was friends with Kanye. Like, how many people are going to have someone that famous who's going to endorse your stuff? And then he worked at Fendi. So this is not some guy that just woke up from his bed and then made hoodies and printed on it. Even the prints that he's making, they have like some cultural references that people that were around him in Chicago and stuff, they understand. So it's not just some random thing. And I think that is the issue with that whole, like, fashion going in that direction, because I think before that whole thing, people had a better understanding of what it took to be like a designer and the skills you had to have. But now people have this idea in their head, this strange idea that, yeah, I'm just going to make a t-shirt brand and it's going to blow. And that's why most people fail, because they don't see the other stuff that goes into it. Like, anyone who has a successful, what people would think is a t-shirt brand, like Jerry Lorenzo, I can go on and on about all the stuff he's done in fashion to get to the point he is. Like, no one just wakes up. Samuel Ross with A Cold War, he worked under Virgil Abloh, interned at other places, studied graphic design in school. So none of these people just become designers out of nowhere. And I think that's, if people take anything away from this, it should be that.
Thank you for watching another episode of Where's My Podcast. If you ever want to take in future episodes on the go, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Whilst you're there, please leave us a 5-star review. It would really help. And also, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram, WMTV_LDN, to keep up to date with the latest goings on in UK fashion. Keep it locked.